It's almost time, guys. It's almost time for us to be able to equip these legendary skills. So there's actually a main reason why most players don't like to use these legendary skills, and that's because if we just take a look at one of them, you can see that the secondary stats all give 10, and the life and damage gives 240 and 2400. And if we compare that to just a single node, you can see that the secondary values are all the same, but the damage and the life are 4 times higher. But most people don't care about damage and life, especially if you're playing PvP. You care more about the secondary stats. So missing out on so many of these nodes just to equip one of these, which costs 80, while a single node costs 4, is really not worth it. So why am I saying that it's almost time? Well, one of these nodes costs 80, and you wouldn't feel bad unequipping a single node from your Paragon. So basically, this actually doesn't cost 80, this would cost 76 points. And 76 points is only 16 Paragon away. And I think that a majority of players will be able to reach 436 Paragon, which is the level that you need sometime next week, maybe towards the end of next week, or in the latest 2 weeks from now. So once you reach 436 Paragon, basically what you want to do is you want to go to your Paragon tree and unequip a node that you don't use. Let's say I don't use any nodes from Survivor. What you want to do is actually click this here. And once you've done that, you're going to have an extra 4 points. And at that point, you'll be able to basically claim one of these at 436 Paragon. So as soon as that's available, that's what you want to do. And what that will do is that will basically give you the same amount of secondary stats. So the secondary stats that you lose from one node, you're going to gain, but you're going to gain much more damage and life. And it also gives you an option of selecting one of these 3 skills. You can only use one at a time, but whichever one works best for your build. And you'll also get the benefit of getting more damage and life at no cost. So I don't think I've gone over these 3 legendary skills before on my channel, so I just wanted to do that quickly. But before that, I just wanted to remind you guys that the Winds of Fortune limited time event is about to start in a couple of hours from when this video goes live. So if you didn't know, it's basically a double drop event where between 29th of August to the 5th of September, you'll be able to get double drops of gold, experience, battle pass points, normal gems, legendary, and also the normal items. And this is going to be the perfect time to basically start farming more in the game, especially with the new essence that we have, to hopefully speed up farming up all of the new essence. And with that, you're going to be gaining a lot of XP. So I'm sure that next week, if people start farming, they'll be able to also utilize some of these legendary skills. So with that said, let's go ahead and test the effect of these 3 skills and see if any of them are any good. Now, even if the effect is complete garbage, it's still going to be worth taking one of these skills once you reach 436, because you will get increased damage and increased life regardless, so it's still worth it. So what I'm going to do now is unequip a few more points from the Survivor tree, which I don't really use until I just get 80 points for now. So there we go, and now we can select one of these skills. So let's start off with the Roaring Strike. Let's just have a read what this says. So this says, generates energy while moving or using a primary attack, and when full, your next primary attack will knock back enemies, cannot occur more often than once every 10 seconds. So primary attacks generate 5% energy, and each shard of movement generates 1.25% energy. So I get this effect procs at full energy, which is, I guess, is 100% energy, and I guess you're going to need to hit something with primary attack 20 times, or I guess move enough that you'll be able to proc this knockback effect. So let's just give it a try. So there we go, we've activated it and gained the armor and also the damage on life. So one thing which I noticed after unlocking it is that you also have to activate it here. So this is what I'm going to do now. And as you can see, I've just activated that legendary skill, and now it's appearing here along with my active nodes. And I guess the reason for this is that you could technically unlock both of these legendary skills as well as this one, but you can only have one active. And the reason why you want to do that is you still want to get these attributes here, the secondary stats, and also the damage on life. Even if you're not using them, you'd still be able to get the secondary stats and the damage on life. So just to prove this, what I'm going to do is I'm actually going to reset the whole tree here. And let's just go for that. So do you want to reset all the assigned Paragon points? Yeah, sure, let's do that. So what I'm going to do now, since I have all of these Paragon points, is you can actually unlock all 3 of these, I believe. Yep, that's what I've just done here. So that's perfect. So now I actually got all of the secondary stats from all of them, but you can only have one active at a time. So let's say I activate this one and I try to activate this one as well, you can see that it actually disabled this one. So just like I thought, you can only have one active at a time. And in case you're curious, to unlock all the nodes in every tree and also unlock these 3 legendary skills, it would actually take a total of 600 Paragon points. So I guess at roughly 600 Paragon points, or maybe a few weeks before that, Blizzard is probably going to announce some other new system where they add more stuff to the Paragon tree. Hopefully they just don't do another Paragon reset. That would kind of suck. But yeah, it would be nice to actually get some more Paragon trees here just to get some more variety going. So what we're going to do now is we're actually going to try to test the first one, which is the Roaring Strike. So what I'm going to do now is just keep moving around and see if I notice any visual effects or any difference. So let's just keep moving and hope that eventually I get enough energy that something changes with my character. So let's just keep moving here. Let's just move a little bit more. Okay, and there you go. So as you can see, my fists have become flamed up. And I guess that means that the effect is active and will be procced on my next primary attack. So let's just test first of all, if I just try to hit the wall, will it proc the knockback effect? So the answer is no. My fists are still flaming, as you can see. So now what we're going to do is we're going to try to hit the dummy and see if we notice any difference. So there we go. So as you can see, the dummy said it's immune to knockback. But we can see that the hit of my magic missile did 1.7k. So let's compare that to just a normal hit. So let's just reset the damage log here and just hit the dummy. And there we go, it's also 1.7k. So it seems like basically you get a knockback effect, but it doesn't do any extra damage. It's simply just the knockback effect. And just walking around is enough to kind of charge up this knockback effect. But you could also hit a target, which would also charge up your energy. So if I'm hitting nothing, it doesn't charge up the energy from what I found out. But if I keep hitting this target dummy here, eventually you should see that my fists basically light up, hopefully, if this is working as expected. So there you go. You saw that my fists were lighting up, and then I hit the dummy again. But as you can see, it doesn't require moving to be able to proc this effect. You can also just hit the target, or you could do both. You could hit the target and keep moving at the same time. But all it does is just provide an extra knockback effect, which isn't super useful if I'm being honest. But if your build relies heavily on using primary attacks, then it could be a nice little extra CC just to have. So I also wanted to test this knockback effect on players, so I've invited my friend to a party and I'm going to invite them to a duel. But as you can see in the top left here, we've got this Roaring Strike text which says your next primary attack will knock back enemies. So let's go ahead and duel my friend and see how that looks. So, okay, here we go. Let's see. Okay, let's just see. Okay, so as you can see, that's what the knockback effect looks like. Let's actually try to hit her a couple of times and see how fast my Roaring Strike actually charges up. So here we go, it should be charging up soon. Maybe let's try to move at the same time while we're hitting her. Yeah, as you can see, there we go, the Roaring Strike knockback effect. That's what it looks like, just a standard knockback, nothing special there. So now let's go ahead and test the next legendary skill, which is the Lightning Rod, I believe. Yeah, it's the Lightning Rod. Let's activate this one. Let's have a quick read of what it says. So it says, dealing damage to an enemy 10 times within 3 seconds causes lightning to strike them, dealing damage to all nearby enemies. Cannot occur more often than once every 30 seconds. So already this has a longer downtime than the Roaring Strike. So Roaring Strike is once every 10 seconds, but granted, it does take some time to actually reach 100% energy, but this one actually requires you to wait 30 seconds before proccing once, so it's kind of like a 6-piece curse gear if you're using one of the longer curse properties. So let's have a quick look at how this works in action. So one skill which I found which is really good to test this is the Arcane Torrent, because this keeps hitting with different projectiles, so it's going to be very easy to test when I have no gear on. So let's go ahead and see how this looks on the dummy. So here we go, let's channel my Arcane Torrent. And there we go. You saw that effect on the ground that kind of did some like stun effect. Well, it actually doesn't stun. But as you can see, the damage from Arcane Torrent is 11k. And the damage from the Lightning Rod, all it does is 1.3k, which isn't that much. I'm guessing when I have all of my gear equipped, this number should actually be much higher, and this number will also be much higher. But as you can see, for that amount of Arcane Torrent, it does about 10% of the damage, which really isn't that much, to be honest. So to be honest, I don't really see a use case for Lightning Rod in PvP scenarios. This is because it simply doesn't do that much damage, if I'm being honest. And even in builds which don't really utilize primary attack. Let's take the current wizard meta build, which I'm going to be showing for PvP. It really doesn't use that much primary attack, but it actually would be nice to have kind of a knockback effect to fall back on. Let's say if a Tempest gets close to you and you just want to use your primary attack just as a means to knock them back, and because you don't use that much primary attack, you're always going to have your knockback effect up. So in that case, where even when you're using a lot of damage dealing effects and a lot of different dot effects, where you'll be utilizing the most out of Lightning Rod, even in that case, it isn't going to be so useful. So I really don't see a use case for this outside of maybe PvE scenarios, since this is the only damage dealing one. As far as I can tell, the Roaring Strike doesn't do any damage. It only provides a knockback effect, and this one only provides a shield effect. So in that case, this would probably be the best one for PvE scenarios, whereas these two would be more suited to PvP. So finally, let's go ahead and test the last legendary skill, which is Benefactor. This one reads that using a buff skill grants a shield to nearby allies, absorbing damage equal to 15% of your maximum life for 6 seconds. Cannot occur more often than once every 30 seconds. So this one has a downtime similar to Lightning Rod, but I feel like the effect is going to be much more useful. So if I'm understanding this correctly, it's going to apply a 15% shield, 15% of your maximum life for 6 seconds to you and also your nearby allies. So let's have a look at how this looks in action. So let's activate this one. And currently I don't have a buff skill, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to equip my helmet, which turns my slow time into a buff. This is the new wizard essence, which says that slow time surrounds you with a static field that applies a dot and applies shock to all nearby enemies. So this should count as a buff now. Yep, it's a damage and a buff. So let's just see how this looks. So let's press this. And as you can see, I do have a shield. And let's see here, it says, yeah, it says shielding, absorbing damage for 6 seconds. And that does seem actually pretty useful in PvP. And also considering that you can apply this not only to yourself, but also nearby allies is actually pretty useful. The only downside is it is once every 30 seconds, so it isn't going to be as common to activate as, let's say, the Roaring Strike legendary skill, which is once every 10 seconds. But basically, I could see that this Benefactor is going to be the most used legendary skill in PvP, in my opinion. This knockback one could be extremely useful in builds with very high attack speed and a lot of primary attacks. It could be very useful in that case, just to get extra CC. But for overall practicality, Benefactor just seems to have the best effect, in my opinion, for PvP. So that's about all that I wanted to cover for this video, guys. I hope that it's been informative. Do let me know in the comments what you guys think of legendary skills, or if you think that I missed something. In my opinion, it does feel like these effects are a little bit underwhelming, especially this Lightning Rod. It could have been nice if this maybe provided a stun or something. I'm not too sure, but maybe these all do deserve to be kind of buffed, since the name says legendary skills, and you kind of expect them to be a little bit more powerful than some of these nodes that we have here. So once again, I want to thank you all so much for watching. If you do like this kind of content, then please do consider subscribing and also hitting the like button. It really does help my channel out. But for now, I'm going to be signing off. See you all in the next one. Peace.